Greetings. Perry Pope, Preventative Maintenance Coordinator and also a principal member of the Buffalo Sewer Authority's outreach team. The video that you have selected is a recording of a presentation that was presented by one of my colleagues. This presentation occurred April the 24th at Gerard Place, located at 2515 Bailey Avenue in the University District.
If you are viewing this presentation after that date, subsequent events could have a material effect on this information.
By presenting this information, Buffalo Sewer has not undertaken any obligation to update the information beyond the date of the presentation.
Data and other information provided are not warranted as to completeness or accuracy and are subject to change without notice.
The views, policies, programs, and practices reflected herein also are subject to change without notice.
This presentation is provided for your information and convenience only.
Well, good evening, everyone, and thank you for being here at the University District Council meeting for the Queen City Clean Waters program. My name is Art Hall with Hallmark Planning and Development, and we're going to go ahead and get started. If you hadn't gotten food already, please go and get some food, and as people come in, they'll get caught up to speed with the presentation. It's important to know that tonight we are going to be learning about the Queen City Clean Waters program. We have Buffalo Sewer Authority staff who is going to be presenting along with the consultant team from Arcadis. And we're going to be talking a little bit about this initiative that's going to be going on for the next 15 years here in the city of Buffalo. So just to give a brief prelude prior to the presentation, the Queen City Clean Waters is Buffalo Sewer Authority's long-term investment in clean water and climate resilience. Is our response to the Environmental Protection Agency for ensuring that the cities reduces their sewer overflows into our waterways. The goal of this program is to reduce combined sewer overflows into our rivers and streams and improve the overall water quality and public health. Prior to this meeting, there were a series of community engagement meetings and efforts. We attended events, community meetings, block club coalitions, and really began to engage within the infrastructure of meetings that's already in place. We engaged with the districts, coalitions, and neighborhood associations throughout the city as a prelude to let them know that this program was going to be taking place and we were going to be getting started with it very soon. And so you may have seen a trifold or brochure out and about sometime last year. You may have come by a tent and seen a brochure with a map and all of these dots on them and with all of these programs and with all of the projects that are part of the program. That was a part of this. And so tonight, we are going to be talking about some of the projects that are going on in the University District. And as we do this, we want to make sure that we keep you all informed with the entire program. So we'll talk a little bit after the presentation has concluded about how you can stay up to speed with it, how you can have receive more information, and how you can get involved. So as we begin, I'm going to introduce from the Buffalo Sewer Authority, Charles Riley, who is the Chief Financial Officer. He's going to come and have a few words, and we'll get started with our presentation. Let's give Charles a hand as he comes.
Good evening. Thank you for coming out. Thank you for everyone who has worked hard to get this put together. A large part of this initiative is the community engagement and working with our stakeholders and just getting out into the community and letting everyone know what we're doing and what the benefits are. And like Art said, this is a 15-year, $1 billion project. We have over 50 sites throughout the city. Tonight we're talking about the University District, and we just are grateful that you've come out, and we just want to make sure that you understand some of the things that are going on and have your voices heard. When the sewer authority does work, it's generally out of sight, out of mind, but we want to make sure that we are giving back to the community when we come into your neighborhood and we disrupt it and we dig it up and we have lane closures on streets and things like that. We want to make sure when we're done, your community is better than when we came. And so that's a big part of what we're doing, the community engagement, community benefits, and we're trying to get the word out as best we can. And so this is one of the steps in that. And we look forward to talking with you and getting some of your feedback and listening to some of your thoughts on these projects that will be occurring in the University District in the coming years. So thank you, and enjoy some food, and we look forward to some good participation. Thank you.
Good evening, everyone. My name is Regina Harris, and I am a senior engineer with the Buffalo Sewer Authority. I'm glad to be here this evening to tell you more about our public participation plan, which is a part of our Clean City, Clean Waters initiative.
I'll have T.Y. Lynn email you. Can you, you got your code in?
So really quick, I wanted to give a disclaimer. The disclaimer here says that this presentation is provided as of today. So today is April 24th. If you are viewing this presentation after that date, subsequent events could have happened and could have changed some of the information that is here. So we're saying as of today and as of right now, this is accurate information. Buffalo Sewer has not undertaken any obligation to update this information beyond the date of the presentation, and the data and other information provided are not warranted as to completeness and accuracy and are subject to change without notice. The views, policies, and programs and practices reflected here are also subject to change without notice, and the presentation is provided for your permission, for your information and convenience only. In tonight's presentation, you'll get a little background on the Buffalo Sewer Authority, the overall plan for our Queen City Clean Waters program, specific projects within your district, within the University District, and opportunities to stay engaged with us through the program. Okay, so Buffalo Sewer, the city of Buffalo kind of began around in the early 1800s, but began with the opening of the Erie Canal in the city. So in 1825, the Erie Canal came through this area, and the city spread out actually from downtown Buffalo, which was essentially like a wetland or swamp. During that time, there was not good sanitation, and so there were, in the early 1800s, there were actually 3 cholera epidemics that happened here in the city. Essentially from those epidemics, raw sewage was going out into our waterways. Eventually we had a few waterways that went through the city, and in the early 1900s, those waterways were covered and turned into sewers. One being the Hamburg Canal, which turned into the Hamburg Drain, the Ohio Basin, which turned into the Ohio Drain, Cornelius Creek, which is now the Hurdle Avenue Overflow Drain, and then Skajakwata Creek, which we call the Skajakwata Drain, all between 1900 and 1925. Okay, so Buffalo Sewer was established in April of 1935, and it was in response to a mandate by the Department of Health from 1935. So basically, the Buffalo Sewer was established because the city of Buffalo was essentially going broke, and So they did need to address the needs of the city and meet the mandate. And so because they could not, they were not financially sound and could not do that, they established the Buffalo Sewer Authority. So the state established this authority in order to have bonding capacity. So back then, $15 million of bonding capacity, and then which would be 344 million in today's dollars. The Buffalo Sewer Authority was established, and the plan was that once all of the work was done, which here is stating that it would have been the primary sewage treatment and then interceptor sewers would have been installed or were to be installed. After that work was done, the plan was to dissolve the authority, but we are still here today. And we actually just celebrated our 90th anniversary. Okay, so in the 1940s through 1970s, like most cities in the U.S., there was suburban sprawl. So, people who stayed in the urban areas decided to move out to the suburbs, and those areas were developed. And so as part of the development and the sprawl to the suburbs from Buffalo, the 33 was established, the I-198 and the I-190, which essentially severed not only the city and our connections to there, but it severed the Bird Ferry trunk. It added additional stormwater because we went from having grass or pervious area to impervious area. And as part of that, we had to add new pump stations and new trunk sewers and other things that had to be installed to accommodate those changes. This is a map from that time. So because of the suburban sprawl, we went from just serving the city of Buffalo to then serving Buffalo, as we still do, and then everything, all of these different communities outside. So today we serve the suburban areas of West Seneca and Cheektowaga and Depew and Lancaster. So all of most of our surrounding areas, we do serve them. Buffalo Sewer has the second largest treatment plant in New York State. So Clean Water Act came in 1972, and part of that, we built the Scajaquada Tunnel. Now, I spoke a little bit about the Scajaquada Creek being covered and turned into what we call the Scajaquada Drain. Well, the Scajaquada Tunnel is a man-made structure that was actually run kind of parallel to the drain, and then allowed us to take more flows to the plant to be treated. So with the building of the Scajaquada Tunnel, there were also weir modifications, diversion from the Scajaquada Drain to the tunnel, raising of weirs. Also, we established the Kelly Island connection. Backwater gates were added so that we can keep the flow of the rivers and the lakes out of our system and out of people's basements. And then secondary treatment was also added at the wastewater treatment plant. The picture here shows our wastewater treatment plant. It is located, I would say at the foot of Ferry, but near Broderick Park or Freedom Park, is that what it's called now? So it's basically on an island, but we do service, like I said, Buffalo and the surrounding areas. So here we are, 1994, the US EPA, through the CSO control policy that was issued, the Buffalo Sewer, like many other municipalities, were affected by this policy. And part of that, we had to address the needs of the community and our area with preventing combined sewer overflows. Now, combined sewer overflows are basically, our system is combined, meaning that our pipes convey not only sanitary sewage, so the stuff that comes out of your house, but we also pick up street drainage, and they travel together in those pipes to the plant. In some areas of our city, they have in the past and still do have an outlet so that in wet weather, like extreme wet weather, they will overflow some sort of a structure like a weir or a dam, similar, it's like a wall, and it will overflow that and then go out directly to our waterways. And because of that, we want to make more of that flow go to the plant to be treated as opposed to going out. So when the EPA came in and said that we had to address those issues of CSOs and the number of CSOs, reducing those, we submitted a report in 2004 that took a few years for them to get back to us. And by that time, we got into negotiations in 2009 to figure out what projects we can do that will help us, again, meet the goals of reducing CSOs. And so between 2009 and 2012, or again, another 3 years, we were in negotiations. And then after the negotiations, we finally got our plan, the long-term control plan report. We got it submitted and approved in 2014. So between 2014, I actually started at Buffalo Sewer in 2015. So I've been here almost since the beginning. But in 2014, between 2014 and 2022, we have worked hard to implement the things in that plan. But in 2022, we looked at our plan, we looked at the model, which we had used to decide what projects would be viable. We looked at the model in 2022, and through recalibration, we found out that even if we completed every single project in there, we would not meet the requirements. We would not be in full compliance. And so now we're here and we have our new project plan so that we can, again, get back on track. So this is just a slide on the approved recalibration results. So it's showing here that the activation goals from our first long-term control plan were 6, but with all of the projects done, those that were tributary to the Buffalo River, we would not meet it. We would be at 15. And so the same with the Niagara River. Our goal in the report was 9 activations, and we would have still had 14 with everything being done. And the same with the Jacada goal was 4, and we would have still been at 19. So here's another graphic of those projects. So these are all the projects that were planned in the original long-term control plan. The blue projects were ones that were completed and were in compliance. These are, I mentioned, combined sewer overflows in locations where we have actual overflows that go to water bodies. And so these CSO locations, as you can see here, there's 63, I believe. Some numbers are missing, but the blue ones here would have been were built and are in compliance. The purple ones, with the completion of the proposed projects from the original long-term control plan, would put us in compliance. The red ones, even after everything would be done, would not be in compliance. Same with sewer patrol points. Sewer patrol points in our system are basically upstream of those CSOs or combined sewer overflow locations. We have locations in the system where our inspectors check on a weekly basis. And so what those locations are just locations which would be like a, where we can at that point kind of judge whether we are going to have a CSO event. So at those locations even, we were noting that we wouldn't be in compliance at those locations either. And so 174 would be in compliance, 13 with the projects completed would be further in compliance, and then there will still be 18 that are out of compliance. Okay, so the activation is the overflow occurrence. So the development of our activation targets. So through our, taking a look and looking at recalibrating the system, we set new goals. So for Black Rock Canal, we had 0 to 4, and then with selected alternatives, we would be at 4 activations. And similarly, when you look at Cass Creek, the goal was 0, and we would be at 0 with the projects done. Cass Creek City would be 0 to 6, and we would be at 5. So in each of these, we took a look at and met those goals through some new projects. Okay, so lessons learned from our original long-term control plan. So basically, many of the proposed projects were unfeasible due to compliance issues and costs, highlighting a lack of thorough consideration regarding industrial heritage and the specifics of industrial design, such as differences between open and underground tanks for vehicle support. So there were other issues with like land acquisition. We had certain projects that required us to purchase land, and Buffalo Sewer does not own land, so there are processes that we would have to go through that take a long time. And those caused severe delays, and now, especially like through the pandemic, those things got further delayed. Also, environmental justice. We want to make sure that we are always doing our projects in areas where we are addressing the needs of the community, but also making sure that those projects are equitable and spread and where they are located in the city. The operational costs. The long-term control plan, the original one, some of the costs were estimated very low. So when we look at the fact that the report was originally from 2009, and then we didn't get it approved till 2014, of course, prices had changed, but then go further to 2022, and prices had really changed. And so some of those projects became unviable. And then the depth of rock, some estimations of locations where the depth of rock was much more shallower, and you have to take into account blasting or hydraulic, hammering that rock, and there's additional costs associated with both of those options. So we went through an optimization approach. We got together with our consultants, and we looked at more real-time control options, so more sites that can be done, looking at just other opportunities to make the projects that we had proposed work, and those that might work better in different locations, or however that would work best to optimize the project. So we looked at property ownership, we looked at underground contamination concerns, gravity flow versus pumping, prioritization of the sewer control points, with the low activation requirements and high overflow in the baseline projects, and then potential coordination. We looked at over 77 different projects, varying from inline storage and offline storage and green infrastructure and sewer separation, and all different types of projects, and how those could go into this larger plan. And we came out with 51 viable projects, or selected alternatives to move forward with our what is now Queen City Clean Waters. And so this Queen City Clean Waters is our renewed and new marketing on our new, I'm trying to think of the word, rebranding, thank you. Rebranded long-term control plan. So for that, we set a new vision and a mission. Our vision is clean waters and a resilient Buffalo, and our mission is to safeguard public health and the environment while fostering strong community partnerships, creating meaningful workforce opportunities, and driving lasting economic impact for future generations in Buffalo. All great things. So with Queen City Clean Waters, there are over 50 sites that I mentioned, and it is a $1 billion investment in the city of Buffalo, and it will be over 15 years. Okay. Our overall plan includes, so this part of the presentation is basically saying like what you can expect. So there will be construction impacts, But we have addressed and looked at risk and came up with some mitigation measures for those. So during construction, residents can expect to see equipment and traffic cones on the side of the road, temporary disruptions such as noise and dust, but we will work hard to minimize that. And then sewage odors will not be present in homes, but maybe outside. So those are things we're looking at. Also, new traffic patterns, of course, because you'll have detours and things like that. Partial road closures, sidewalk closures possible, limited street parking possible, detours again, rodent control plans, and then fencing. So on the picture on the bottom, this is from our Broadway and Oak project, and we had visible fencing that not only gives like educational, but also helps to not have you, have you have to look out your window if it's outside of your job or outside your home looking at a big hole and dirt and all this other stuff, but gives you something to learn. So it is, again, a public outreach tool as well. Water quality benefits. So with all of our projects, again, we are the Buffalo Sewer Authority. It doesn't sound pretty, but our job is public health, and our job is to keep our waterways clean. So when we're doing these projects, the ultimate goal is to provide better water quality. And so in that, we have the goals here are the benefits of our projects will be a reduction in pollutants, improved public health, enhanced ecosystems, and then compliance with our regulations. This is one of our projects that we had recently. It is the Hurdle at Deer Inline Storage Project. If you drove by there a couple years ago, the street was shut down at that location, but this is just how it looks. So inline storage is basically where we have these larger pipes and we go in and we cut out a section of the pipe and then we put in, trying to see, on your right hand side would be where the gates would have been put in. And so the gates are used to control the storm, combined sewage. Basically so that we can hold it back and have storage capacity until we have capacity in our interceptor sewers to then take the flows to the plant, as opposed to it going out in one of those CSO locations that I mentioned. Okay. So these are a couple other projects. Hazelwood RTC was commissioned. So we'll start actually on the right. So SPP 340 is a regulatory chamber. Lang RTC was commissioned in 2017, and Hazelwood RTC was commissioned in 2019. Now, they similarly, with all of our real-time control projects, have weirs and gates, mechanical gates, that allow us to control the flow. And those flows are controlled at our wastewater treatment plant. There are sensors that kind of tell us when to close and open those gates, but we also have the ability to control those manually as well. But that's basically the function of a real-time control. I think this is a video. I gotta figure out how to play it. How you play it from here? That I don't know how to do. How you play it? Oh, can you play it? Yeah. Is it playing? Here it is. Okay. All right. So during wet weather, downstream sensors indicate when it is time to begin storing. And then nearly every gallon stored would have contributed to a CSO activation, but now that we have the gates there, the gates take turns each event. That's another thing. They alternate. and one closes, the other one modulates. So you see it build up and then the gates close. All right, so that's with all of our real-time control. They are pretty similar, but that is the process. And then over time, the gates will open back up and release. All right. All right. So again, there's local control. This one is actually we're here, but it's right out here in Bailey. This was our North Bailey, our real-time control. So if you travel down Bailey during the construction of this project, this is what it kind of looks like underground. Same, it has two gates, and it has the one side here, which is, like I said, like a wall on the side where once those gates are down and it starts to overflow, it will fill up and it still has room to overflow and exit the structure. We are here, part of our community engagement. So part of our Queen City Clean Waters, I know I mentioned that we have been working hard. I will say that we have been working hard to make sure that we are in the community, we are where the people are, that we are finding out what people want, allowing questions to be asked so that we can address those things and we can prepare ourselves better, and again, leave the community better than when we got here. Not even just in the sense of, you know, sewers not being able to back up your homes because we were here and our stuff is underground, but also leaving a lasting impression, and providing opportunities for people to engage with us. So the program management impact, we have all these equity indicators and desired outcomes. So community ownership of the project, capacity building, healthy communities, heritage preservation, sustainable wealth creation, so job opportunities and things like that. And then new and reformed policies for sustainable development, growth management, and neighborhood development. And as you can see here, this is just some of our projects in the map here in the bottom right corner. But we're looking to be accountable and transparent and provide community benefits. We have created a stakeholder advisory committee, and that is for the entirety of the Queen City Clean Waters project. The purpose of that stakeholder advisory committee for the Buffalo Sewer Authority's Queen City Clean Waters Initiative is to serve as a vital bridge between the project team and the diverse communities of Buffalo. We are here, but we will also be in all of the various districts. We last week were in South Buffalo, South District, and then we are here this week, and then next week we will be in Maston, and we continue to do that throughout all the districts of the city. The SAC, as we lovingly call it, ensures that community perspectives, concerns, and insights are actively incorporated into initiatives, planning, implementation, and evaluation of our projects. These agencies listed at the bottom are just some that are represented on that advisory committee, some of which are here today with us. But yeah, we are also creating the community partnership program. So this is a new program that will be rolled out this year. And again, this is to connect Buffalo Sewer with 501c3 organizations, so nonprofits, to help with volunteerism or financial contributions to define community partners. The program will be included in the contract terms and compliance monitoring to ensure effective participation. So we are just, everything we can think to do to make sure that we are engaging the community, we are doing. So we, we're looking at trying to make sure that we have community involvement and engagement, and then we're making sure we're where the people are. So volunteering and allowing for those people to interact with us on a more regular basis is what we're trying to do here. And then I will say last thing, but our commitment is also to inclusion of DBE or disadvantaged minority women-owned business enterprises. We actually had open houses, so they were virtual, but we had virtual open houses to allow small businesses to meet with the Buffalo Sewer Authority and find out what they need to do to become a disadvantaged minority or women-owned business enterprise, so that they could get future work. So we're doing everything, again, like I said, everything we can to help the community and to provide opportunities to work with us. And we are committed on our contracts to setting goals and meeting or exceeding those goals when it comes to DBE and MWBE. I am going to give it to Nadia, who's going to talk to you about the specific projects in University District.
Thank you, Regina, for a wonderful presentation, and this is going to be the exciting part. So as Regina mentioned, my name is Nadia Mugisha, and I'm with Arcadis, and I'm the Deputy Program Manager for the Buffalo Sewer Capital Project Program. So you may be asking yourself, yes, we saw the Queen City Clean Waters Initiative and all the 51 projects that Buffalo Sewer is trying to implement in the city, and you may be asking yourself, then what are the projects in my specific district? So out of the 51 projects being implemented across the city, there are 3 projects in the University District. The first one is the Bailey in Minnesota, at the intersection of Bailey and Minnesota. And the name of it is the Sewer Patrol Point, SPP 254 project. And the role of that project, it was an infrastructure upgrade project where they removed a flow barrier or flow control structure and was replaced by another flow control structure, but a little bit lower so that more flow can pass through the pipe. The estimated cost was $200,000 roughly, and this project has been completed. So it started design in March of 2022, and construction was completed in July of 2024. And again, it was part of the Queen City Clean Waters Initiative to help reduce overflows into this Kajakora Creek. The second project that's under construction now is the Bailey and Amherst real-time control structure. And so what this project is doing is diverting flow from the Bailey Avenue trunk sewer into the Amherst Quarry, if I can point. Okay, okay. So diverting sewer during a storm event, diverting some flows from the Bailey Avenue into the Amherst Quarry. This quarry was already used for combined sewer storage during a heavy storm event. But what the real-time control structure is doing is allowing more flow to be stored into the quarry. And when there's capacity downstream, the Amherst Quarry Pump Station pumps stored flows from the quarry back into the Bailey Avenue sewer. So the estimate cost of the project is roughly $2 million. Again, the project is helping prevent overflows into the Kajakora Creek. As I mentioned, this project is under construction. It started design in December of 2021, and construction is expected, or needs to be completed by July of 2028. The third project is the Edison Martha offline storage tank, and this project is located at the intersection of Edison and Martha at Roosevelt Park, behind the Charter School of Inquiry. And so it's the same concept. This tank would be used to, so this tank will be used to store flows during a heavy storm event. Flows will be diverted from this storm sewer along Edison. It will be diverted into the tank. The tank will be filled and stored for maximum 24 hours after the storm event. And when there's capacity downstream, the tank will be drained back into the storm sewer and all the way to the treatment facility. Design has already started. We started design in March of 2024. And as you can see, construction is anticipated to start by June 2027. We are required to complete this project, construction completion, by June of 2033. Most of the question we get asked is, wow, construction is 6 years. What are you doing within those 6 years? So to answer that, really during those 6 years, that's like the worst case scenario. Ideally, the goal is to finish construction within 3 years. So the first year, the contractor will receive the notice to proceed. They will begin excavation. They will start the tank construction. Year 2, construction will continue, and year 3, they will finish the construction, and they will do some site restoration. And then subsequent years will be for the system commissioning to make sure that it works properly, and when you turn it on, it can do what it was supposed to do. So these are some visuals of the tank, just how it's going to look like, the footprint in the park. You can see the diversion structure here, the inlet pipe. So during construction, this side of the parking lot will be fenced off, so it may be of limited use during that time. The tank will be constructed. This is the footprint. This is a staging area of the contractor for construction. This is the outlet pipe and connecting back into a manhole along Edison. This is just another closer view or street view of the tank. The tank will be 15 feet deep. So once the construction is completed and the site restored, you won't even notice that there's a tank underneath. This is an image of the final product once construction is completed, the site is restored. So the park will be back to normal use as usual. So since design has started, Buffalo Sewer has done the state quality environmental review, which we're required to complete for any project to assess the impact to the environment. And so different impacts were identified. Obviously, there will be excavation, and so during construction, we'll make sure that erosion and runoff are controlled and mitigated. Given that the construction is within park, a recreation park, that side of the park, the east side, yes, the east side will be out of use for a certain period of time, but the west side will be available for normal use by the community. Transportation, detours and road closures may happen, but again, the public will be notified ahead of time so that there are no surprises. And that's part of what we're doing here too, community engagement, to make sure that we hear your concerns, we hear what your fears are, so that as we continue design of this project, we're taking into consideration that public input and making sure that we minimize the impact to the community. Another question that we get asked a lot is regarding the order. During final design, we'll be evaluating different order control systems, and so that question should be taken care of. The community character, obviously, during construction may be impacted because you see fences, soil piles, and all of that, but that's for a limited time, and ultimately, this project is really needed for the betterment of our water quality and for public health. So we wanted to show an example from a different community, and this is in Toledo, Ohio. And just to give some context, this is a bigger tank because this tank is 36 million gallons. The Edison Martha one is 2.6 million gallons. So this tank I'm going to be showing here is 10 times larger than the Edison Martha. But really the goal here is so that the community here can understand a little bit how the tank functions. So you can see, I showed the inlet pipe and outlet pipe on the Edison Martha, but something I wanted to call out is the cleaning system in the tank. So you can see on this side, it's a cleaning system. It gets after the tank has been drained. This cleaning system is filled up with water and flushes down, cleaning up all the debris in the tank. So when we get asked a lot about the order issue, really, I think that shouldn't be a concern because the water in here will be combined, which is really diluted, and it will not stay here very long. And once the tank is drained, the tank is going to be cleaned. And so there shouldn't really be any order concern if the tank is operating as it should be operating. So in the construction of this tank took 3 years. And so that's why, again, even though on our timeline, we show 6 years of construction, that's a worst case scenario because we have other examples from other communities where for a bigger tank, construction took 3 years. And so for that, we shouldn't be scared about, the park will be disrupted for a longer period of time. So this is just to show during construction, soil piles and everything, how the site looked during construction. This is before construction, but then I want to show you how after construction, beautiful. The park was really left better than it was found, and this is what the intent is with this project at Roosevelt Park. The park will be left better than it was found, and we'll be hearing or requesting feedback from the community. What would you like to see in the park, so that as we design this project, the Edison Martha project, we can make sure that the community voices are co-designers in the process. With that, I will pass it along to Art to discuss opportunities to stay engaged.
As we conclude today, we want to do a recap of all of what we've learned about the projects that are going on in the University District, but then also we talked a little bit about some of the engagement that we've done over the course of last year to current. One of the ways that we presented to the project team as a means to stay engaged is the creation of an interactive website. This is the part where we get interactive. So those of you who are at your tables, if you look at that little flyer that's on your table, you see there's a QR code that's on it. That QR code will lead you to this website, the Buffalo QCCW.org. And on this website, it'll give you a brief overview of the Queen City Clean Waters project. But then you have a section that's a frequently asked questions section. We want to make sure that as we're going through these district meetings, And when we're at other block club meetings, events, that we're capturing questions. And no question is a bad question, because as a matter of fact, every question is a good question, because we're going to put those questions into our frequently asked questions box. And that way, others will know questions that have already been asked. They will see the answers to those questions, and that helps build context and education for the project. One of the things that you have at your tables are little sticky notes. And what's encouraged is to write a question on those sticky notes, and you can even put the questions on one of our poster boards back there that is designed to capture questions and to create dialogue around the project. So part of this strategy for having district tours is not just to inform you about the Queen City Clean Waters Project, not to just give you some history, but to also have some conversation and dialogue and to learn more as we go. Because we not only want a cleaner, healthy, safer sewer system and city, we want to also make you all aware and educated of what's going on, and so that you can also participate. So this website has several sections. We have a frequently asked questions section. We have some photos of that's on the section of some of the sites. But then if you come to the midsection of the site, there are 3 sections or links where you can get involved with the project. One section is our survey section. If you click on that link, what that will do is take you to a survey where we can capture information about how we can do public engagement better. And that's an opportunity for us to capture some information and to implement this stuff so that we can learn how to reach people better, how to ensure that we are connecting with people, communicating with people, and encouraging people to participate in this program. The second section is a community forum. So if you go to our community, if you go to our survey is designed for you to go through it in 3 to 4 minutes. If you stay the course, there are only 8, maybe 10 questions, and you literally can finish the survey in 3 minutes. But that's just multiple choice. We want to make sure that as we're capturing information, we can put it into an analytic, and then we come back and discuss it with the team, the responses that we received from the survey. The community forum is designed for dialogue. That's where you can really type and give some feedback and information. In addition, it has a social media field. So when you provide a comment, somebody can see it, they can like it, they can comment on it, and you can start a thread or a dialogue. That's what that's for. But then we have our last section, which is our interactive map. Our interactive map is designed specifically for participants to see where projects are in their council district, click on that project, and have some information on what that project is. And we wanted to keep it very plain and simple, so we can do just that. So when you go to our interactive map, it'll be a map of the city of Buffalo. Each of the council districts are color-coded. You can zoom in to your council district. You have a legend where you have the projects, what those projects are, and the icon that is associated with that project. And you can learn what projects are going on in my district, and if there are any projects that are nearby my neighborhood, block, and or house. So we want to encourage you to get interactive with our interactive map. We want to make sure that you are up to speed. We do have a timeline that's on here. Now, we're not going to inundate you with a timeline for everything. You are not going to know the timeline for every project detail, meeting, and the minutes. Although we will have some of the information from our stakeholder meetings, these meetings that will be present on that website. For more information, I encourage you to go directly to the Buffalo Sewer Authority website. And they too have the main page for the Queen City Clean Waters where you can learn more information about that project. This concludes our presentation for today. I want to thank those of you who did attend for coming. If there are any questions, we'll take those questions now. Thank you. Y'all did good. That was good. That was good. That was good. That was better than last time. I didn't have to prompt you to clap, so that was very good. Are there any questions? Want to make sure that we open up for some. If not, thank you.